Welcome to your yoga practice. I thought it'd be fun today to do another class outdoors. It's been a while since we've done that. Yes, that is a beehive you see in the background. Yes, though those are honeybees, and they are bees that my spouse and I cultivate. Don't worry about them. They won't bother me if I don't bother them. When you're ready, please come to a good seated position on your mat. Spread your sitting bones back and apart. Take your fingertips next to your hips, grow long through the side body. Take your shoulders up to the ears, back towards the back of the room. Broaden them. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. Take a deep inhale, lift your heart space. Exhale, close your eyes, tilt your chin or soften your gaze. Bring the tip of your index finger and your thumb together and breathe. For today's yoga practice, we're going to be studying ourselves. The invitation for your class today is to notice the things that fill you up, that give you energy, that give you that sense of positivity, that sense of joy. As you move through your yoga practice today, in particular, I'm going to be challenging you to move to your edge. As you're challenged to move to your edge, take care that you don't move past your edge, that place where the pose is no longer serving you. Find the place where the pose fills you up. And as in life, as you begin to notice the things that fill you up, that sense of joy, perhaps you can always find that sense of challenge, but also that sense of joy in everything you do. In the yogic world, we call self-study svadhyaya. So today, study yourself. Even as you're seated on the mat, notice your habits. Are you furrowing your brow? Are you starting to hinge back and round your spine? Are you starting to press weight into your lower back? Are you allowing your hips to speak to you? Or perhaps do you need to sit on blocks or a blanket to allow your knees to open out and let gravity do the work? Where's the edge for you? Can you get just to that edge but don't press past it? Take a couple more inhales in and out. Fill yourself with air. Full deep breath. And exhale that out. Take a couple more deep breaths in and out. Really fill yourself up. Find that sense of joy, that sense of fullness. And exhale that. Open your eyes, lean back on your mat, bring your legs out in front of you. Maybe wiggle your knees back and forth. Good. I'll be mirroring you for class today. So when you're ready, take your right ankle over top of your left thigh and let's rub through the sole of the foot. Just starting to open the foot out. Interlace your fingers in between the toes. Spread the fingers, spread the toes. Begin to massage those toes, circle the ankle. Good. Make it feel good for you. Circle in the other direction. Excellent. Come on back to the center. Shake the foot out. Spread the fingers, spread the toes. Don't release them yet. Now, squeeze your fingers together. Excellent. Squeeze your toes together. Spread your fingers. Spread your toes. Squeeze your fingers. Squeeze your toes. Spread your fingers. Spread your toes. Good. Peel that hand away. Keep the toes spread. Stretch the top of the foot. Making sure you're not sickling the foot. Flex it, going in the other direction. Rub through the sole of the foot again. Doing a great job. Grab a hold of the big toe mound, little toe mound. Spread the top of the foot apart. Give it a good wiggle. Release that. Make a fist. Gently tap the sole of the foot. Good. Then clap the foot and give it a good paddle. Grab a hold of the ankle. Shake the foot out. Release it. Then hug the shin in. Open up that hip. Release that. Take the top of the femur back into the thigh bone. Take your time. Good. Switch sides. Noticing one knee may open out wider than the other knee. Can you come to your edge? That place where you still feel joyful, but you're challenging yourself. Good. Interlace the fingers in between the toes. Massage the toes. Circle the ankle. Go in the other direction. Good. Come on back to the center. Wiggle the foot out. Come to a place of stillness. Keep the fingers interlaced in between the toes. Maybe press them down a little more fully. There you go. Now squeeze the fingers in. Squeeze the toes in. Spread the fingers. Spread the toes. Squeeze the fingers in. Squeeze the toes. Spread the fingers. Spread the toes. One more time. Squeeze the fingers. Squeeze the toes. Spread the fingers. Spread the toes. Peel the hand away. Keep that foot spread. Good. Toes spread wide. Stretch the top of the foot. Flex it going in the other direction. Just rub through the sole of the foot again, maybe twist and pull each toe. Make a fist. Gently tap the sole of the foot. Then clap it out. Give it a good paddle. Grab a hold of the ankle, shake it out. And then hug the outer edge of the foot in, hug the shin in, open that hip up. Release it out. Good. And when you come back to center, cross your legs your second favorite way. We're going to do a seated cat-cow today, but we're going to do it with mindfulness. So as you come to your cat-cow position, notice immediately whether you're sinking back into your back body, into your lower spine, and lift up out of that. Lift your heart space, tone your belly a little bit. Now take your hands to the outer edge of your knees and press your heart space forward, tone your belly, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Now, as we move through seated cat-cow, I'd like you to start with just moving your shoulder blades. So we're only going to move our shoulder blades. We're going to keep the lower spine and the mid-spine steady and rooted. So as you move, you're moving the shoulder blades, the heart space back and forth. Go slow. Just noticing your mobility. Good. Seeing if you can keep your belly toned, your hips rooted. Couple more times. Go slow. Just starting to develop mobility in the upper spine. Come to a still position. And we're going to do the same thing with our hips this time. So you're going to steady your mid-spine and your shoulder blades, and you're going to move your hips back and forth. Yeah. It's like you're rocking your hips back and forth, tilting your hips forward and back, forward and back. Noticing the spine, the lower spine. Good. Couple more times as you keep your upper body still, just so the lower body is moving. Come to a place of stillness. And now we're going to move through a full cat-cow. But I want you to notice as you come through cat-cow, as you bring your torso forward, you take your hips back, tone your belly, and then you release and you round everything. See if you can get that mobility in both your shoulders and your hips. Let them work together. Just notice where you can find your edge. Maybe you can move a little more deeply in this way. Maybe not. What feels good for you. Moving a couple more times back and forth. Excellent. Come to a place of stillness. Release your hands next to your hips. Inhale, lengthen through the side body. Exhale, walk your right fingertips to the right. Take the left hand overhead. Reach towards the side, getting a good side stretch. Root that left hip down. You can bend the right elbow, but press that hand into the mat. Inhale back to the center. Go the other way. Rooting both hips down. Don't let that right hip pop up. Open up. 2 more times. Then I'd like you to start to begin to flow with this. Using your flow, what feels good for you. What kind of speed helps you come to your edge? Where can you get the fullest stretch and still start using the length of the pose to serve you. Couple more times. Come on back to the center. Shoulders up, back, and broaden. Good. We're going to work with a twist this time. So inhale your arms overhead. Release your shoulders away from your ears. Exhale, turn to the right. Right hand. The left hand goes to the outside of the right knee. Right hand behind you. Inhale back to center. Exhale the other way. Making sure your hips stay rooted. Moving through your spine, your upper body. And you begin to flow with this twist, taking the twist at your own pace. What allows you to come to your most challenging edge without losing that sense of fulfillment, that sense of joy, that sense of nourishment. Study yourself. What feels good for you? One more time, both sides. And come on back to the center. Shoulders up, back, and broaden. Good. Please come to a standing position on your mat. You can come to the front of your mat. Excellent. Coming into Tadasana Mountain Pose. Your feet are parallel to one another, about hip distance apart. Inhale your arms overhead. Exhale, take your hands into Cactus Pose. I'm going to turn so you can see me. Good. My hands are in Cactus Pose. They're not in a W. Good. Those elbows. Take the palms, spread the fingers wide, tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. Inhale, open up your heart space a little bit. Exhale, bring your forearms and your palms together. And begin to move with this pose, keeping your lower body still, but opening up the shoulder space. If your elbows are starting to sag, re-energize them, come to your edge. If your belly's starting to sag, re-energize that. Find your sense of fulfillment. Open your arms up into Cactus Pose. Spread your feet a little bit wider. Inhale, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. We're going to come into Uttanasana, standing forward bend, but I'd like you to keep your hands in Cactus Pose. Keep your heart space lifted as you hinge at your hip creases. It's not a waist. You're hinging at your hip creases, sending your belly back. Keep those hands lifted. Now reach them wide. Straighten the elbows. Keep them lifted as you come into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Come halfway up, long spine. Reach those arms wide. Exhale, fold again. 2 more times. Inhaling, long spine. Reach, reach, reach the arms wide. Shoulder blades on your back. Exhale, fold. Again. Inhale, arms wide. Exhale, fold. Please remain in Uttanasana, standing forward bend. You can start to move your knees, bending one knee, then the other, moving your hips back and forth. In fact, shake your hips back and forth. Good. Excellent job. When you're ready, please come to a standing position. If you're not at the front of your mat, please walk to the front of your mat. Inhale the arms overhead. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone, shoulders away from the ears. Can you take a mini back bend without pressing those hips forward? Tighten your glutes, your hamstrings, micro bend in your knees. Open your heart space to the sky. Exhale, hands come into Cactus Pose. We hinge forward at the hip creases. Reach the arms wide, Uttanasana. Come halfway up. Exhale, fold. Step your right leg back into a lunge position. Wiggle the toes of that right leg back a little bit farther. Now, that left hip wants to pop forward, so squeeze it in towards the midline. Breathe. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, find your lunge. If you need blocks, use blocks. See if you can take that ankle and the heel, and lift the heel so you're not hinging back in that heel and hanging in that back leg. Make sure your back knee is straight. All 5 toes are in contact with the mat. If you'd like to heel toe that front foot to the edge of your mat, bring both arms to the inside. Good. For some of you, that means your hip's going to pop back out. Squeeze it back in line. Lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Couple breaths in and out. Now, can you melt your heart space? Bring your shoulder blades on your back. Lift your head. Long back of the neck, back of the skull is long. Couple breaths in and out here. Letting the pose open up, finding your edge. If you'd like to walk your hands forward and come down to your forearms, you can do that. If that's too much for you, you stay up on your hands. If you'd like to release that back knee down, if you're finished, if you found your edge, you can release the back knee down. Just make sure all 5 toes are in contact with the mat. Yogi's choice. Let that hip open up. Breathing in and out. Heart space reaching forward. If that back knee is off the mat, please lift the back knee. Good. Hands thread around both sides of the front foot. Bend that back knee. Step forward into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Inhale halfway up again. Exhale, fold. Find your Uttanasana. Send your hips towards the sky. Root through your feet. Micro bend in your knees. When you're ready, step the other leg back. Left leg lunge. Wiggle those toes back. Yeah. Keep the back leg long, back hip is high. Square your hips off. Squeeze everything in towards the midline. Lift your heart space. Not collapsing the skull. Finding your edge, that place of challenge. Maybe heel toeing the front foot out to the edge of the mat. Planting your hands, melt your heart space. Square your hips off again. If you need to bend that back knee and bring it down to the mat, yogi's choice. You know yourself better than I do. Where's your edge today? What feels good for you on this side? If you'd like to come to your forearms, you can do that. But make sure you're not rounding your upper spine. You're reaching your heart space forward. Lift the back of the skull. Breathe in and out. The back knee is down. Please lift it up. Good. Thread those front hands around the front foot. Step forward into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Good. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, fold. Step the right leg back into a right leg lunge. You can repeat the same pose we did before, lizard pose, with your knee up or down, but some of us are going to add a twist. For the adding of the twist, your knee can be up or down. I'll show you both. Yogi's choice. What's your edge today? What fills you up and nourishes you on this side? Square your hips off. Bring everything in towards the midline. Excellent. Breathe in and out. Heart space forward. Really press into that right hand. Feel like you're taking your right hand, especially from the upper edge of the shoulder, and like you're dialing it towards your baby finger side of the hand. Take your left hand to your thigh, shoulder up, back, and broad. Knee can be up or down. Start taking your right chest wall towards the front of the room. Good. That top arm comes overhead, or can reach towards the front of the room, or you can take it behind your skull and press the back of your skull into the hand. Yogi's choice. If your back knee is down, the option is to lift that back heel, reach that back hand back towards the top hand back towards the back leg, flex the foot for a twist. Your gaze is up to you. If you have the neck mobility and it feels good for you today, if it fills you up, you can look towards the sky. If that doesn't feel good, if it's not your day, don't do that. Release the back foot down. Come on back to center. Lift that back knee off the mat. Thread the fingers in front of that front foot. Hinge forward, Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Pause. Grab a hold of either elbow. Breathe in and out, rooting through your legs, sending energy all the way up through your legs and out through your tailbone. When you're ready, step the opposite leg back. Go slow. Find your pose. Good. Thread that front hand in between the legs. Heel toe the foot out if you need to. Square off the hips. Back knee up or down. Now press into your left hand from the top of your shoulder. You start dialing that hand and the arm towards the baby finger side of the arm. Really activate the hand. Take your lower chest wall, that left chest wall, towards the opposite side of the mat. Squeeze your hips together. Top hand, yogi's choice. Up towards the sky, reaching forward. Fun thing about doing yoga outdoors is sometimes other sounds come into the picture. That's okay. Don't let it throw you off your balance. What gives you joy? Your top hand can be to the back of the skull if you'd like. Press that back of the skull into your hand. Open out. Good. If that knee is down on the mat, you can bend the foot. Reach around, grab a hold of the ankle or the foot. Good. Really open out, getting a good twist. Couple more breaths in and out. Release the foot, come back to center. Lift that back foot off, heel off the mat, back knee off the mat, sorry. Thread the hands. Step the back foot forward to meet the front foot. Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Please come to a standing position, arms overhead. Tadasana, mountain pose. You can take your mini back bend if you'd like. Then come to center, bring your hands together in front of your heart space. Breathe in and out. You're doing a great job. Excellent. Turn towards me. Shoulders up, back and broad. You're in Tadasana, mountain pose. Inhale your arms overhead. Interlace your fingers. Turn your palms up to the sky. Good. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, lean towards one side of the mat. Yogi's choice. Just getting a stretch. Inhaling back to center. Uncross your fingers. Fingers reach to the sky, shoulders away from the ears. Inhale your hands together. Interlace your hands one finger over your second favorite way. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone, and lean in the opposite direction. Gaze is up to you. Come on back to the center. Do that a few more times at your own pace. If you'd like, you can grab a hold of the wrist if interlacing your fingers doesn't feel good for you. If you want a little more abs work, both those arms can reach wide like you're holding a beach ball. Shoulders stay away from the ears. Find your edge. Open that heart space so you're not collapsing forward. Top shoulder opens. Other side. Come on back to the center. Reach your arms overhead, palms together in front of your heart space. Bring them down, thumbs towards your heart. Close your eyes. Notice how you feel. Notice when external noises, external happenings threaten to take you off the mat. Can you stay on the mat? Couple more deep breaths in and out. Good. Open your eyes. Release your hands. We're going to move through a flow. I'd like to show you the flow so that you're aware of what we're doing. It's going to be a flow that's going to help open your hips out a little bit. And it's using that lizard pose that we just worked on. So it looks like this. As you come to the top of the mat, you're going to sweep your arms wide. You're going to come into cactus pose, hinge forward. Reach those arms wide as you come into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. You'll come halfway up. You'll fold. You'll step one leg back, wiggle the toes back. You bring one hand in. Yeah, thread both hands in between. Sorry, I'm showing you. You're going to step the front leg back into plank pose. Then you're going to step it forward again. Then you're going to step it back and forward and back, forward. Good. Now, you're going to hinge on that back foot, step the other foot around. Yeah. And then you're going to come all the way back up to a wide Tadasana. Palms come together. We're going to repeat the whole thing on the other side. Let's do it together. I'll talk you through it. Excellent. Coming into Tadasana Mountain Pose. Feet are parallel to one another. Notice your habits. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. Notice what serves you. Arms come overhead, shoulders away from the ears. If you'd like to take a mini back bend, do that. Hands come into cactus pose, fingers wide, elbows lifted. Inhale, lengthen the heart space, reach it forward as you hinge at the hip creases. When you get halfway down, reach those arms wide. Come into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. 2 pranams. Excellent. When you're ready, step your right leg back into a right leg lunge. Good. Square off your hips. Thread that left hand in between the right foot. You can heel toe that left foot down to the mat. Square off the hips. Good. Breathe. Now, when you're ready, your back leg is going to stay where it is. Your hips are going to stay where they are. Your upper body is going to stay where it is. The only thing moving is that front foot. Comes back to plank pose and then forward and back to plank pose again and forward and back to plank pose again and forward. Good. This time, hinge that back foot, step it forward. Both hands are planted. You can use a chair if you'd like. If that's where your edge is, that's fine. Good. Inhale, press your feet into the mat. Lift from the heart space, arms sweep overhead. Step your feet together. Hands come to the heart space, palms together. Come into Tadasana Mountain Pose. Let's do the other side. Breathe. Inhale the arms overhead. Exhale, lift the heart space, tone the belly. Inhale, come back to center. Hands come into cactus pose, fingers wide, really reach them wide. Hinge at the hip creases. Keep your heart space lifted as you come forward. Reach your hands wide, wide, wide as you continue to hinge. Come into Uttanasana. 2 pranams, long, straight spine. Then step the opposite leg back. Good. Oops, sorry. Opposite leg back. Breathe. Hands come to the inside of that front leg. Your knee is over your ankle. Breathe. Plant your hands, melt your heart space. Steady your hips. Now, can you step that front leg back into plank pose? Then forward. Back into plank pose again. And forward. Last time, back into plank pose and forward. Breathe. Find your center, find your edge. Now hinge on that back foot. Step it forward. So you're in a wide-legged forward bend. Knees are bent. Modified field hand pose. Good. Hands to your upper thighs. Lift your heart space. Really root through the feet to lift. Come back to Tadasana Mountain Pose. Arms sweep overhead. Hinge back, look at the sky. Come back to the center. Palms to the center of your heart space. Breathe. Excellent. You're doing a beautiful job. We're going to move through a modified downward facing dog. It's going to be a 3-legged dog. We're going to lift that back leg and we're going to start to open the hip out in both directions. Let me show you what it looks like. So it is a little bit of a flow again, but I want to demonstrate it for you and then we'll do it together. So we'll start in Tadasana. We'll hinge forward. We'll step back into downward facing dog this time. Good. We're going to lift one foot off the mat, but we're not going to open the hip yet. We're just going to lift that foot and lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. Once you have that length, you can open the hip. You can take fire hydrant pose. You're going to keep your arms where they are, your body where it is. You're going to close the hip off and bring it towards the chest. Then you're going to open out again. Open the hip, close it, bring the knee in towards the chest. And we'll do that a few times. So we're moving from the top of the femur. We're really moving that hip in the hip socket. Make sense? So we're starting to work on some mobility of the femur in the hip socket. Excellent. Please come to Tadasana Mountain Pose. Find your center, find your joy. Inhale the arms overhead. Open up into a mini back bend if that feels good for you at this time. Hinge forward, cactus arms. Reach the arms wide as you come into Uttanasana. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, fold. Step back into downward facing dog. Make it a long dog. If you're hanging in your wrists, press your hands into the mat. Take your heart space back towards your heels. Breathe. Good. Shift your feet towards the center. Tailbone is lifted, heart space reaching towards the back of the heels. Lift that right leg off the mat so it's parallel to the floor. The foot is flexed. The hip is closed down. Good. Now, as you start to lift that top thigh a little bit higher, open the hip out, lift that thigh. You can come into fire hydrant pose, but don't let the shoulders start to move. Keep the shoulders stable as you come into fire hydrant. Come on back to the center. Close the hip down. Reach it out. 2 more times. Lifting the leg. Opening it. Open hip. Close it down. Reach. 1 more time. Lift. Open. Come back to the center. Close it down. Come into downward facing dog pose. Walk your hands back towards your hips. Uttanasana. Hands to the hip creases, shoulders up, back, and broaden. Come to a standing position. Walk to the front of your mat. And we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Taking a breath. Using a chair if you need one. Using blocks if you need them. Finding your edge. Inhaling the arms overhead. Exhaling, lifting the heart space. Mini back bend. Keeping your hips stable. Hands come into cactus pose. Fingertips wide as you hinge forward at the hip creases. Reach those arms to the side. Hinge forward into Uttanasana. Take a pranam. Fold. Step back into downward facing dog. Breathe. Bring both feet to the center. You're going to lift your left foot off the mat this time. Hips are turned in. Your hip points are facing towards the mat. Reach that top leg long. Breathe. Now as you open that top hip up, bend the knee. Take your fire hydrant position. Activate the foot. Come back to the center. Close the hip. Reach that leg long 2 more times. Opening the hip and closing it and opening it and closing it. Reach that back leg long, come down to downward facing dog. Using your second favorite hand, start walking your hands back towards your feet into standing forward bend, Uttanasana. Hands to the hip creases, shoulders up, back, and broaden. Lift from the heart space. Good. Come to the front of your mat. Excellent. Now, please come to the center of your mat. Step your feet wide. Excellent. Shoulders up, back, and broaden. Feet are parallel to one another. Toes are pointing towards the center of the mat. Good. Take your left toes and turn them towards the left. Shift your back heel back a little bit so your knees are at a 45-degree angle. Please come into Warrior One. Bend that front knee, arms overhead. Breathe. Excellent. Hands to the hip creases, turn the toes, go the other way. Warrior One on the other side. Turn the toes to the center. Come back to the other side. Bend the front knee. Can you lift that back foot so the toes are all in contact with the mat? The heel is not now. Good. Back leg is long. Inhale your arms overhead. Exhale, bend the knee. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend the knee. Inhale, straighten. Hands can be on your hip creases if you want, beginning to work on thigh strength, bending and straightening. Couple more times. This time I'd like you to keep both knees bent. Good. Now, your front knee is going to stay stable and in its current position as you bring that back knee down and back. So now just the back leg is working. Be gentle with your feet. The torso is steady and strong. Working on foot strength. Come on back to the center. Take a break if you need to. Shake it out. We're going to do the other side. Feet are wide. You're going to turn your toes in the other direction. You're going to bend that front knee, lift the back heel. All 5 toes in contact with the mat. Arms overhead or arms as your hip creases. Heart space is lifted as you begin to bend and straighten that back knee. The front knee bends and straightens as well. Working on quad strength, working on leg strength, working on svadhyaya, self-study. 2 more times. Taking a break when you need to. Come on back to the center. Good. Okay, straighten that back knee. Keep the front knee bent. Now, can you bend that back knee and straighten it? Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. Good. One more time. Bend and straighten. Turn your toes towards the center. Heel toe your feet in. You're doing a great job. Shake it out. Take empty coat sleeves. And as you take empty coat sleeves, I'd like you to lift that leg side to side so that you're abducting the leg, starting to work on the leg muscles on the outer edge of the leg. Make it fun for you. Make it feel good. Come back to the center. Shake it out. Excellent. You're doing such a great job. Now, we're going to move through a little bit of a flow with the knees bent. We're going to move from side to side. It looks like this. We're going to start in second position. We're going to turn our feet out. We're going to come to warrior on one side, then warrior on the other side. Join me when you're ready. Arms can be bent or can be straight. See if you can get that back knee down to the mat. Being gentle with your front knee, noticing the alignment, making sure you have good alignment in the front knee as you move. Couple more times. Working on the external and internal rotation of the thighs as we move through this. Then come on back to the center. Excellent. Bring your legs together. Let your heart come back to its normal rate. Breathe in and out. Notice how you feel. Maybe close your eyes or soften your gaze. Notice your heart rate. Notice your habits. Are you slumping? Is your face beginning to furrow? Can you soften? Can you stand in good alignment that serves you? Can you slow your breathing? Can you fill yourself with breath? And can you let that breath out in a slow, controlled pace? Excellent. When you're ready, open your eyes. Take your feet wide. Toes are pointed towards the front of the mat. Good. Feet are parallel to one another. Can you turn your toes out just a little bit and bend your knees? Take a look at your knees. If they're collapsing inward, can you take them over the center of your foot? Bend a little bit more. Good. If your feet are starting, if your knees are collapsing over top of your ankle, spread your feet a little bit wider. Can you sink your hips down a little bit more? Lift your heart space. Good. Hands to your heart space. Lift your heart space. Tone your belly, lengthen your tailbone. Can you bring your arms to cactus position? And as you open your elbows, open your knees. Close your elbows. Open your knees. Open your elbows. Open your knees. Close your elbows. Relax the knees. Open the elbows. Open the knees back. Close the elbows. Relax the knees. Can you come down a little bit more? Wiggle those toes out. Lift your heart space. Maybe lift your elbows. Open the elbows. Shoulder blades on your back. Open the knees. Close the elbows and the forearms. Relax the knees. Open, open, close, relax. Open, open, close, hinge down. Open, open, close, hinge down. Good. Open, open, close, hinge down. Turn your toes center. Hinge at the hip creases. Please come into your wide ankle, standing forward bend. Good. Breathe. Send your hips back towards your heels. Take your top of your skull towards the mat. You can take your hands to the outer edges of those ankles. Activate the outer edges of your feet. Breathe. Couple deep breaths in and out. Good. Plant your hands in front of you, in front of your face. Press your hands into the mat as you lift your heart space. Your spine becomes long. Good. Plant your right hand on the mat. Take your left hand to your sacrum. Keep your sacrum level as you take your right heart space towards the left side of the mat. Good. You can take the top arm overhead, or you can take it to the back of the skull, or you can keep it on your sacrum. What fills you? What nourishes you today in this pose? Couple deep breaths in and out. Come on back to the center. Switch sides. Left hand comes forward on that. Spread the fingers. Activate your hand into the mat. Lift the heart space to get forward of the mat as it reaches forward. The other hand comes to your low back, your sacrum. Keep that level as you take the twist. Yogi's choice on the arm. Arm can come overhead or to the back of the skull, or it can even reach around and grab a hold of that opposite thigh for the bind. Breathe in and out. Come on back to the center. Turn your heels in. Bend your knees and your hips. Take them towards the mat. Good. Can you lift your heart space? Now, we're going to come up to a standing position and come back down to this position. We're going to do it a few times, just working on your hips and your legs. It looks like this. Fingertips to the floor. Then you come up high and you reach. You come back to the floor and you reach high. Back to the floor. Open those knees out. Reach. Shoulders away from the ears. Moving at your pace. If you'd like to add up, lifting the heels off the mat when you get to the top, you can do that. What serves you, what takes you to your edge, and gives you joy, and gives you strength, what helps you work on your foot strength, your ankle strength, your inner strength, your mental strength, even if your hands just come to your knees. Yeah, what feels good for you today? Couple more times. And when you're ready, as you come to your last kneeling position, place your hands down. Good. Breathe. Can you lift your heart space? Can you take your hands to your knees? Lift your heart space a little bit higher. Hands together. I know your thighs are crying. Lift your heart space a little bit higher. Now press into your feet, root to rise. Woo! Shake it out. Wiggle those hips back and forth. You can take empty coat sleeves. You're doing a beautiful job. Excellent. We're almost finished with this section. We're going to do one more standing series. It includes pigeon pose. If you need blocks for pigeon pose, get yourself some blocks. Totally fine if you are able to do it without. Yogi's choice. For pigeon pose, please come to the front of your mat, starting in Tadasana mountain pose. Shoulders up, rack and broad, and heart space is lifted. Take your belly button back to your spine. Take the tip of your tailbone towards the floor. Good. Root into your legs, grow long through your legs. Thighs inner rotated. Arms come overhead, they come to cactus pose. As you hinge forward, the arms reach wide, heart space stays lifted. Coming into Uttanasana, hands to your shins for 3 pranams. Spine is long. Step back into downward facing dog. Find your dog. Bring both feet to the center. Heart space comes back, tailbone is lifted, tone your belly. Your right leg comes off the mat, parallel to the floor. Hips are closed down. Good. Lift that leg, open the hip out. Reach it long and high. Now bend the knee, swing it forward in between the hands. Excellent. Release that back leg down. The foot position is up to you, what feels good for you today. It can be closer to your hips, or it can be shin parallel to the mat. Activate that front foot. Good. Breathe. Reach back through that back leg. You're not collapsing onto that front hip. You're over the thigh. So if you need to bring that foot in, yeah, make it feel good for you. What fills you up? Lift your heart space. Walk your hands back towards your hips. Puffing your chest out like a pigeon, tone your belly. Lift the back of your skull. Back of the neck is long. Now, as you come forward, walk the hands forward. Come into resting pigeon. Take your forearms, rest them on top, one on top the other. Breathe in and out as you find your edge for pigeon pose. Walk your hands back towards your hips. Lift that back foot. Lift the back toes, tuck them under. Lift the back knee off the mat. Lift that front leg and come back into downward facing dog pose. Take a crazy 8 with your hips. Open them out. And we're going to do pigeon pose on the other side. Breathing in and out. Excellent. Take your heart space towards your shins. You're not collapsing into your armpits. Armpits are hollow and lifted. Bring the legs together. Root into the right foot. Lift the left leg off the mat. Parallel to the floor. Foot is flexed. Good. Open the hip out. Open the leg up. Lift the high thigh a little bit higher. Bend the knee. Swing it forward for pigeon pose, side 2. You're not collapsing onto that hip. You're up over top of the outer thigh. Toes can be tucked under on the back, or they can be toenails down, but activate your toes. So you're taking care of that lower back. Walk your hands back towards your hips. Lift your heart space. Back of the neck is long. Back of the skull is back. You're not hyperextending the neck. Breathe. Walk your hands forward when it feels ready for you. Reach the heart space forward. Cross your forearms, relax your forehead on top of those forearms. Breathe in and out. Find your edge, but don't go beyond it. What serves you today? What brings you joy? Study yourself. Come on back to the center. Walk the hands back towards the hips. Tuck that back toe under. Come back into downward facing dog. You can take crazy eights with the hips again. Then when you're ready, I'd like you to bend your knees, coming into table position. If you'd like to be on your forearms, if your wrists are getting tired, you can do this on forearms. Just make sure you're not popping up into your shoulders. You want to relax your shoulder blades and tone your belly. So yogi's choice. I'm going to have my palms down on the mat. Good. Toes are tucked under in the back. I'd like you to lift that right leg parallel to the floor. The hip is not popped up. Good. It's parallel to the floor. Bring it down. Lift, lower, lift, lower. Two more times. Stabilize your spine. This time, keep it lifted. Take the opposite arm, walk the fingertips forward, then reach them forward. Take them out to the side and forward, side, forward, side, forward. Release it down. Release the leg down. Turn that right palm up. Get a stretch out of the wrist, the forearm. Switch sides. Melt your heart space, tone your belly. That left leg lifts and lowers, lifts and lowers. Foot is flexed, belly is toned. The action is coming from the top of the thigh, the hips. Yeah. Couple more times, lifting and lowering. Then keep that back foot lifted, flex the heel. Thigh is parallel to the floor. The hip hasn't popped up. It's squared off. Walk the fingertips of the right hand forward. Then lift the arm, bring it to the side. Forward, side, forward, side. One more time, forward, side. Release it down. Release the leg down. Stretch that wrist or forearm. Good. We're going to do one more thing. So please come to your table position. I'd like you to lift that right leg, knee is bent, foot is flexed. And I'd like you to open it and close it. Open and close. Open, close. Now, can you circle the knee? So you're making a wide circle and go the other way. And come on back to center. Stretch the wrist and the forearm. Switch sides. Opposite leg comes up. And then you're going to open and close. Open, close. Open, close. Good. Now circle the knee. Hips stay stable. Wide circles. Go the other way. Wide circles. Now release it down. Untuck your toes, big toes together, knees apart. Take a child's pose. Breathe in and out. Cross your forearms. Rest your head on top of your forearms. Stretch your lower back. Settle. Take a deep breath in and out. See if you can make space in the lower back, the sacrum. Filling yourself up. Giving yourself room. And please lift your torso. Please come to a seated position on your mat. I'm going to face you, but you use your mat. Coming into staff pose, Dandasana. Your feet are forward and straight. Fingertips next to your hips. You're not collapsed into your lower spine. Your heart space is lifted. Good. Now, can you bend your right knee? Cross it over top of the left leg. You can keep that left leg where it is, or you can bend the left knee and take it around to the hip. Settle both hips in so that right hip settles down. Excellent. Inhale, lift up from the heart space, arms overhead. Exhale, take the twist. That outer arm or the outer elbow can be on the outside of that front knee for Matsyendrasana, or that lower leg can be forward, yogi's choice. Just getting a good stretch, coming back to the center. Come back to your Dandasana staff pose, and please switch sides. So this time your other leg bends. You can keep it on this side of the foot if that's what you need. That's totally fine. This works too. If you'd like to cross it over, feel free to cross it over. What fills you? If you'd like to bend the leg, bend the leg. Settle that hip down. Square everything off. Breathe in, lift up from your heart space. Exhale, take the twist. Yogi's choice. Gaze is up to you. Couple deep breaths in and out. Then I'd like you to come back to the center, uncross the legs. Please lay down on your sticky mat. We're not quite finished yet, but you can come to a supine position on your sticky mat. Your knees are bent, the soles of the feet are on the floor. I have the sun in my face, so it makes it totally fun for a yogi. Bring your feet back towards your heels. Good. Draw your knees in towards your chest. Give yourself a little bit of a hug, but keep your shoulder blades on the floor. Roll back and forth on your low back. Then bring your knees forward and massage your sacrum. Yeah. And draw those knees in towards the chest and out towards the front of the mat, noticing what feels good for you, what fills you up, and pausing there. And when you're ready, draw both knees in. I am mirroring you, so if you would keep a hold of your right knee and settle your left foot on the mat, draw that right knee in towards your chest, towards the armpit. You can keep here, or you can straighten that right leg towards the ceiling. You can keep your left leg where it is, or you can slide it out towards the front of the mat. Breathe in and out. Reach, 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 long with that top foot, long with the bottom foot. Toes are facing the ceiling. Knee is facing the ceiling. Good. Bend that top knee, bend the bottom knee. Switch sides. So this time the left knee is coming in towards the chest. Good. Maybe towards the armpit. Sole of the right foot is on the mat. The knee is bent. You can stay here, or you can straighten that top leg towards the sky. You can stay here. You can straighten that bottom leg. Make sure the toes and the knee on the bottom foot are reaching towards the ceiling, pointing up. You can grab a hold of the shin or the calf. But don't pop that hip. Keep it reaching. Breathe in and out. Back of the skull is back. Back of the neck is long. Please bend both knees. Soles of the feet on the floor. Excellent. Now, can you grab both knees, open and wide? Bring your toes together. Excellent. Can you open your feet up towards the sky? Slide your hands in between the legs for happy baby. If the back of your neck is crunched, can you bring the back of your skull back on the mat and begin to rock back and forth? Open your feet a little bit wider. Open your knees a little bit wider. Send your big toe mounds towards the sky. Spread your toes. You can straighten those legs if you'd like. Open them wide. Shoulder blades are on the back. Back of the neck is long. Couple deep breaths. Then when you're ready, bend your knees. Bring the soles of your feet together. Open your knees out for Supta Konasana. Shoulder blades on the back. Spread your hands wide. Breathe in and out. Can you take your hands to cactus position? Excellent. Spread your fingers. Now bring your palms together and open them. Knees together and open them. Palms open, knees open, palms open, knees open. Two more times. Palms open, knees open, palms open, knees open. And bring your knees back to the center, soles of the feet on the floor. Give yourself 3 big hugs, knees, chest, and chin in for Apanasana. And when you're ready, please get yourself ready for Shavasana. Laying yourself down on the mat. Settle your shoulder blades on the floor, allowing your feet to open up, your toes to face opposite ends of the mat, heels are in. Palms are slightly away from the hips, palms facing the sky. Take the index finger and the thumb gently together. Close your eyes or soften your gaze. And notice your habits. Notice how you feel. Let go. And imagine yourself wading into a tepid bath. And as you step into the bath with your toes slightly warmer than room temperature, you begin to let all the tension run out of your feet and into the bath water, letting it wash over the tops of your feet, the soles of your feet, your ankles, feeling the tension melt away as you get in up over your shins and your calves. Walk into your knees. Walk even deeper. Your quads and your hamstrings begin to deliciously relax and let go. Get up to your hips. And they breathe a sigh of relief as they begin to relax the buttocks, the low belly, mid back, your chest, your heart space, your shoulders. And maybe as you gently lay back, being buoyed by the water, no fear. You let your neck and shoulders be cradled. You float effortlessly, relaxing the skin on your face, your jaw, your tongue, your cheeks, relaxing your eyebrows and your eyes, relaxing your forehead, and the top of your skull. And you breathe and you let yourself be filled with relaxation and calm as you nourish yourself. Let all the tension melt away. You may stay in Shavasana as long as you wish. When you're ready, and to bring energy back into your body, but go slow, feeling the delicious nourishment of your body. You begin to move in small ways. Make it feel good for you. Maybe moving your toes or your fingers, circling your wrists, your ankles. Maybe even bending your knees and doing small windshield wipers. Maybe straightening your knees and reaching your arms overhead and taking a good full body stretch. Make it a delicious one. And then bend your knees and please roll to one side. Remain there for a few moments, looking into your amazing heart space. You've now done some svadhyaya, some self-study, learning what nourishes you, what begins to take you to your edge but not beyond it. The invitation this week as you take your yoga practice off your mat and out into the world is to begin to notice your edges. How can you take yourself just to that point of challenge but not beyond it, so that you can remain in a place of being fulfilled? Thank yourself for unrolling your mat today. Look into your beautiful heart space, bend your knees, and turn your heart space to the floor. Use the strength of your hands to come back to a seated position. As you come back to a seated position, as we did at the beginning of class, cross your legs, open your feet out, fine tune your position, sit well, lifting your heart space, toning your belly, shoulders up, back, and broaden. You close your eyes or soften your gaze. Bring your palms together in front of your heart space into prayer pose, Anjali Mudra. Take a deep breath in. Keep your heart space lifted as you exhale your breath. Inhale in again. Exhale that. Inhale in again one more time. Exhale that. Open your eyes. Lift the corners of your mouth to the sky. It's been a pleasure to be in yoga with you today. Thank you for coming to the mat. Namaste. Have a wonderful day.